LegacyMaker, the All Sports Network, presents a SIRTOBA media production where the struggle is real to be awesome.
5, 4, 3, 2.
The wait is over.
He hasn't even played a full rookie season yet. He just started this year. Why are you going to give this kid a $210 million on paper when he's only been a rookie at 21 years old, okay? Nobody in the history of the game has done that before. Has just showed up, Johnny Go Blank Yourself, has showed up at 21 years old and got $200 and some million and hasn't even played a full rookie season in the majors yet.
Drew, come on, he's an all-star. He made it to the final round of the home run derby. I mean, like, statistically speaking, he is one of the best rookies that has ever stepped foot on a baseball field.
Get your popcorn ready. It's time for the In or Out sports debate with your hosts,
Joey Raymond
and Drew Willingham.
Hello, everyone. We are live with episode 54 of the In or Out Sports Debate. I'm your host, Drew Willingham, along with this week's returning panelist, my man, Virginia Tech alumni, Mr. Joey Raymond. Welcome back, my man.
What up, what up, what up?
Man, it's been 2 weeks since you and I have been on the air. It's been 2 weeks since I've been on the air. I took a week off. I was recovering from being sick, called it the flu game. We're going to stick with that from last time. I was highly under the weather. You were recovering from the previous time that we were on. So, this is the first time we have both been at 100, ready to rock. And we've had some great sports this past weekend with football and baseball, a lot to get to. But before that, as always, it's the beginning of every show. We got to acknowledge the Vault of Fame.
Acknowledge me.
This is why this show was so important, and this is why I am personally validating and vouching for this show. If you are anybody in media, sports, professional wrestling, anything, you need to be on In or Out Sports Debate with my man, Drew Willingham.
And that's right. That's the Vault of Fame. We are here with episode 54 with my guy, Joey Raymond. You can check us out here on the LegacyMaker Sports Network on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and coming soon to TikTok. As always, you can check everything out at LegacyMakerSports.com. Handles right here for the In or Out Sports Debate for Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Twitch, and all of the audio platforms listed below on Apple and Google Podcast, Spotify, Amazon Prime, Anchor.fm, and you can always download them individually on iTunes. If you want to throw me a little tip, what Darrell Owens calls Willie Bucks here at Cash App, DWillie87 with a $sign before that. But again, we are here with episode 54. I am Drew Willingham along with Joey Raymond. We have 6, and that's right, 6 great topics because it's been a while since we've been on the air. We got 5 plus the bonus round, a lot of baseball, a lot of football action. Let's go ahead and get that in. Go ahead and get that started with round 1.
Round 1.
And here with round 1, the protection of quarterbacks within NFL rules has softened the game of football. How do you feel about this one, Joey? Are you in or are you out on this one?
I am in. Now, don't get me wrong. I absolutely believe that we should be protecting the quarterback. I mean, he is the star on the field. I mean, at the end of the day, that's one of the biggest reasons we watch football, is it not? We want to see our star quarterback bring our team to the promised land. That's kind of the point. And, even though like roughing the passer penalties and whatnot have gone down statistically, there have been 29 roughing penalties this season. That's 54. That's down from 54 through week 5 last season, 41 in 2020, and 59 in 2010. So they're definitely calling it less, but I think what's happening is they're calling it more egregiously. What we're seeing is the times that they're calling roughing the passer penalties, like, is just not roughing the passer. Like, the defender will barely touch the quarterback and they'll throw the flag. And frankly, I just think it's getting ridiculous. It's getting out of hand. There have been, especially this past week, there was 2 plays that was just, I mean, come on, man. They barely touched him. And they got called for that penalty, and that's a massive penalty. I mean, that's a 15-yard penalty and an automatic first down. Like, it's out of hand how much that we're protecting the quarterback. Again, don't get me wrong, I do think we should protect the quarterback, but this is ridiculous. It's getting out of hand, and it needs to stop.
Absolutely. I agree with this as well. I'm in on this too. Joey covered a lot of the fine points, a lot of the fine print as far as the rules and whatnot, as far as the statistics goes within this season. I'm going to take you back and go a little bit old school. I want you to look at the person who's been the culprit of changing the rules, and that is one Thomas Edward Patrick Brady II. Let's go back to December 16th, 2001. Take a look at this hit that he took in the game against the Bills when he was with the Patriots at the beginning of his career.
Phil Hansen, who at 11 years in the league can still run people down. Brady in trouble. Here comes the rush, and here's the hit. And alive. Brady's up. That's good to see, but what looked like a knockout hit by Nate Clements, who played against Brady when they were both in the Big Ten. Clements at Ohio State, Brady at Michigan. That hit to see Brady get up. That was a knockout hit.
That hit gave me chills. That was scary. Brady's hat flew right off, and I'll tell you what, Brady got right up. Watch as he comes up. He's got to get down. Starts to go down. It's just not fast enough. Yeah. And he takes a mammoth hit. There, I'm okay. Watch this. Ouch.
Man.
Right there. I'll tell you what, Brady got right up, walked over to the sideline, said, hey, I'm okay, it's going to be good. When you see your quarterback do that,
the ball.
Everybody stands a little taller on your sidelines. He takes a hit like that, stands up, and comes back.
All right, now when you look at that back in 2001, all right, when you think about how football was then, and you fast forward to 2022, TB12 still playing. Take a look at this most recent play with him as well.
Take down Detroit. Tom Brady on 3rd down, scans the field and gets sacked. Brady Jarrett brings him down. But then a flag flies. A flag comes out at the end of the play. Oh my goodness. This is going to go on Atlanta, breaking Falcons' hearts.
Yeah, I don't think Brady slammed Tom to the ground. I think he's coming around and he's got him by the hips and he's rolling through the tackle.
Defense, number 97. 15-yard penalty, automatic.
I'm with you, Coach. I don't understand that one. Brady's coming all the way from here. Watch him come all the way around. Now he's going to be down onto the hips of Tom Brady while he's in pursuit, so he's spinning around too. There's no intent to hurt the quarterback right there. You can see Tom's reaction. There's been a couple of calls here in this situation for Atlanta to hold on. I just don't know how you call that. That is not in the spirit of the rule, the way it was created to protect quarterbacks going to the ground. I feel it, Coach.
That is bad at any stage of any game. But here, potentially helps decide the game.
Now, when you compare and contrast the first video to the most recent one, and you think about how much the game has changed from the type of hit that he took in that first video to the second video, they're calling roughing the passer on what is basically a routine
tackle. That's a freaking routine tackle. Where is the defender supposed to go?
Absolutely.
What is he supposed to do? You just can't. I just can't believe that that's passing or that's roughing the passer. It just doesn't. I can't fathom why they would call that a roughing the passer penalty. I can't. And I get it. The NFL owners said that they were going to go and meet and talk about it and maybe reassess what the rule is. But I mean, and I'm sorry, Drew, but Drew's your owner of the Washington Commanders. Yeah, we all know how reliable they are. Mr. Dan Snyder and the rest of them. So I don't trust them to fix this rule at all. So yeah, if this continues, I mean, you might as well put a flag on the quarterback and just play flag football.
Facts. I mean, especially when you think about this one that you had sent me about Derek Carr against the Chiefs.
Carr is hit from behind, and the ball is taken away by Jones. A flag comes out on the play, and we'll see how this one's going to be figured out. A forced fumble and a fumble recovery by Chris Jones. Body weight.
Roughing the passer, number 97, defense, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
So there it is. The full body weight, as John said, on the part of Chris Jones, which takes the fumble away and gives Las Vegas a first down. Let's watch.
Yeah, he said 97. Obviously, he meant 95, but
that ball's out clearly.
It's definitely out, and you can hear the crowd.
I don't blame the crowd at all.
I don't either, and I can only imagine how Chiefs fans are reacting at home, because you can see Andy Reid. We saw the calls yesterday. We've seen a number of them already in the early going that they've called roughing the passer. It's changed the complexion of a lot of games, and it does this one here tonight.
It most certainly did. It basically, this rule change with the quarterbacks has basically made things so far pussified in the game of football. Just like there's been rule changes in the NBA and other sports that have made it more pussified. You know, we can argue that the more legitimate rule changes to any sport would be what the MLB is trying to do and what they're doing with next year. And even though I disagree with certain aspects of it, I got to say it is for the betterment of the game. In certain aspects with this whole, let's protect the quarterback and give him basically a blanket and a pillow and let him rest, like in this meme right here that I found. I mean, basically, let me take this scroll away. Personal foul, roughing the passer. Defender did not lay a pillow down for the quarterback to fall on before tackling him. That is the meme right there, but that is 100% facts in today's game of football. What do you think?
I just don't understand what Chris Jones was supposed to turn like what was he supposed to do? Turn into a jet plane and defy gravity and fly away? Like, I just don't get what is supposed to happen on that play. Like, gravity just took him down. Like, I mean, yeah, you might as well lay a pillow down, you know, tuck him in, tell him a bedtime story, and, you know, go from there, because like I don't know what else you're supposed to do with these quarterbacks. Like, I just don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know either. That's why we kind of got to take this into round two.
Round two.
And here with round two, the Atlanta Braves' early exit in this year's playoffs are an embarrassment for any reigning defending champion. How do you feel about this one, Joey? Are you in or are you out on this one?
I'm going to preface this with sorry, not sorry, Drew. I'm out. Honestly, I think the Atlanta Braves need to be more concerned with signing Dansby Swanson and who's going to play shortstop rather than if exiting to the Phillies is embarrassing or not. At the end of the day, the Braves won 101 games. They made it to the playoffs. They won the NL East for the 5th straight year. They just ran into the red hot Phillies. And at the end of the day, when it comes to playoff time, like, that's all there is to it. It's all about who is the hottest team at the right time. And the Phillies played a lot of meaningful games right at the end of the season, and the Braves just couldn't handle it. I think that the long layoff for the Braves kind of ruined their momentum, because at the end of the year, they really did try to catch up to the Mets. They overcame the Mets. And then I think just having to sit for as long as they did really kind of made beating the Phillies as hard as it was. The Phillies played a lot of really good baseball right at the end. They played it in the wild card round, and then you could kind of see during the games that the Phillies just wanted it more. And it sucks because, I know that you're a Braves fan, Drew, but at the end of the day, the Phillies just played like they wanted it more. And at the end of the day, like, it is what it is. I don't think that the Braves should be embarrassed at all. Just look at the Nationals. They won the World Series not too long ago, and they're terrible now. So, at the end of the day, I don't think they have any reason to be embarrassed. I mean, come on. They have one of the best cores in baseball. You look at how they've got Ronald Acuna, Ozzie Albies, Michael Harris II, Matt Olson, Austin Riley, and Spencer Strider all signed through at least 2025. The Braves will be good for a very long time. We'll see them in the World Series again. Don't you fret your little head, Drew. You'll be all right.
No, that's you spoke straight facts, and that's why I gotta agree with you. I'm out on this as well. Guys, just like Joey said, the Braves came back, and even though they had to fight and claw their way back against the Mets to come back, they still swept them to earn the right to be number one in NL East with 101 win season time. The Mets pretty much with record, but beating them overall between the division wins to get into the first place for the NL East. The Phillies at 14 games back. 14 games back at the NL East, get in by the third wild card spot. And thankfully for the rule changes, and we speak about rule changes earlier, rule changes within the NL, within baseball, within the Major League Baseball as a whole for National League and American League for one extra team in the wild card. That's what saved the Phillies this year, because when you look at the wild card standings, they only got in by a game over the Brewers. The Brewers were only one game back from being tied for a play-in game, pretty much, to get in. So that's pretty much, when you look at all that between the Brewers and the Phillies, I don't think the Brewers would have been this much competition in the playoffs at this point in the championship series. So it just goes to show how much one game makes a difference in this whole playoff structure to get this far. So as a Braves fan, it sucks because I would love to see them at this point, them beating the Phillies, but I can at least say this, and I can hang my hat on this. The Braves never got swept throughout the entirety of the season. In all of the games and all the series throughout beginning to end of the season, they never got swept. So that's something that I can hang my hat on and be appreciative coming off of a World Series victory. They snapped that streak out of pretty much a quarter century, coming in, getting the World Series win last year. So as a fan, I'm happy. They put up a good fight. You lost Freddie Freeman, which was a big loss during the offseason. You got Olsen, but they still have a lot more voids to fill. Injury bugs hit them throughout the season as well. They need a consistent year next year overall, and to make some more moves. And like you said, they need to be concerned about keeping Dansby Swanson, because if he leaves, you're pretty much in rebuild mode all over again.
I don't know that it's quite rebuild mode, but you're definitely in a situation where you're kind of hitting the oh crap button. Because at the end of the day, Dansby Swanson is a very important piece to that core. And I think that you need to sign him, even if it's short term. Think about how the, Carlos Correa deal and the Max Scherzer deal kind of came about. Like, those are short-term deals for a crap load of money. And if the Braves really want to make another run at this, I don't think that that's necessarily a bad idea. If he doesn't want to stay there long-term, to just offer him a crap load of money and say, hey, we're going to try to win a World Series. We want you there. Let's do this thing together. We'll pay you whatever you want. You come back for the next year, 2 years, 3 years. We just pay him whatever he wants, and we're going to come back and we're going to try to win a World Series. We're going to put all our chips into the middle of the table. Let's do it. Like, let's actually put some effort forth here.
You know, the Mets letting Noah Syndergaard walk was real bad. It's looking at this point, you know, and that could have been what could have tipped the scales, honestly, in the first round to get them to this point, to where they should be here. It should be them at this point against the Padres.
I mean, I don't disagree. I mean, you think about how much swagger the Phillies are kind of rolling with right now. I mean, I know that you absolutely hate the guy, but you have to admit Bryce Harper knows how to rile up a clubhouse. He absolutely can get that team, put them on his back, and he knows how to get them motivated. I don't necessarily love Bryce Harper either. I think he's a really kind of showboaty. I think he really, but at the same time, like, he definitely has that mentality. Pair him with Nicholas Castellanos, and like, you've got two dudes who are just going to walk around like they're better than everybody else. And right now they're sure playing like it. And you have to admit that, whether you hate them, whether you love them, right now they're playing like they're the best there is.
I know, but it's just like the closet fans that, been quiet for so long. Now they're all of a sudden rowdy on social media. And that's where things just start to get annoying when it comes to that. Like, I do know a couple of ones that have been loyal through and through, but there are ones that like to bounce to another team for a few years because they're doing well. And all of a sudden, I was a Phillies fan in 2016 and for a while, so I'm going to go back to this. It's like, come on, man. Pick and choose, stick with them. That's why even though the Commies, the Commanders, football team, the Redskins, whatever you call them, they're still going to be my team regardless. The owner don't have to claim him, because at some point that will change in my lifetime. I just don't know when. Hopefully during my lifetime. Hopefully I'll live to see it. But in your lifetime, you will see a different owner in Washington, and we'll see how that goes. Let me know if I don't make it and you see me on the other side at some point someday. But guys, we have been through 2 rounds here on the NRL Sports Debate, and we do have some breaking news for you this week. Well, there we go. There was having some technical difficulties with that. The promo for episode 55 next week, the NRL Sports Debate episode 55 next week, Tuesday, the 25th at 8:00 p.m. The Wrestling Realm, Hugh Scott, Brian H. Waters, and the real Dwayne Allen will be here for an all episode pretty much based on sports entertainment, maybe a little bit of football, but we're going to be talking a lot of wrestling next week here on the NRL Sports Debate. But with that, we're going to go ahead and take this into round 3 and see what we got in store for us for round 3.
Round 3.
Here with round 3, we basically have the Virginia Tech Hokies 2-5 start to this year's football season is way below expectations set prior to game 1. How do you feel about this one, Joey? Are you in or are you out on this one?
You're going to get me on my soapbox. I'm in. All right, albeit the fact of the matter is Coach Brent Pry said that this year was actually a rebuild year, so I can't really fault Pry for what the record states. Not only that, but at the end of the day, Brent Pry has said that this year he's not looking as far as like how the record looks as far as what's going to matter at the end of the season. One of the other things that he said was lack of depth. What I don't think anyone fully realized, including myself, was how much lack of depth he was left with. I mean, we're talking about we've seen it in the offensive line. They've had like subpar blocking. The wide receivers are dropping passes left and right. I mean, there was a play in the Miami game where, Grant Wells, moves out of the pocket, throws the pass, and wide open wide receiver, and it's, in one hand and out the other. It's just been really bad. Like, it's been really bad to watch how, the offense has really struggled. And then we flip over to defense. And at the end of the day, the defense has really struggled to break through on anybody. You look at the defensive line, and the only people that they were able to really get sacks on were Wofford and Boston College. Both sides of the football are really struggling. And one of the things that Brent Pry keeps saying is that, they need to play complementary football and that they need to help each other out, and they're just not doing it. And I don't know if this year they're going to. The rest of the schedule is relatively winnable. They have winnable games, but at the end of the day, I just think that the offense is too vanilla, and they just aren't running anything creative. They're not putting any of their playmakers in the right spots to be successful. I would love to see some two-back sets with Keyshawn King and Malachi Thomas in there as well. Put all of your playmakers in there. Make sure that your best players are on the field at all times, and then you might have a chance to win a game. But until we see that, Tyler Bowen and his offense are they're too vanilla. They're too straightforward. They're really easy to defend. And unless we make a monumental change in the play calling and how we're making those play calls, I just don't see this offense scoring enough points to ever win a game. Defense, I could see that improving on a regular basis. In fact, they have been improving on a regular basis, which is really nice to see. But offense, it's give or take. You never know which offense is going to show up on any given Saturday, and it sucks.
Joey, at some point in this episode, we're going to disagree on something, but so far we are not. In round 3 times in a row. We're going to agree because I'm in. Yeah, definitely way below expectations, man. You just lost to Miami, in a 6-point game. That was one of your closest ones you've had all season. Because before that, you lost to a team, Wofford, 27-7. Didn't expect to be that bad. West Virginia, you got slaughtered around about 23 points, 33-10. UNC, you traveled to North Carolina against the 22-ranked UNC and got your rear end smacked around or whatnot. I know that was definitely probably tough in the media room for that one. But before that, or right after that, you also had the Pittsburgh game where you lost 45-29. It has been a rough start, a rough go-around for Brent Pry and the Virginia Tech Hokies. I know that it's definitely got to be tough on them because so far it's not looking like you're going to a bowl game because you've already got 5 losses at this point in the season. Definitely been tough to watch that, and hopefully it's a rebuilding year for them and their program, and next year we'll see some strength out of them, but it's pretty bad that it's only this early on in the season in October, and we are looking ahead to next year already.
Now, I will say this much. I did get a chance to talk to Coach Pry last week, and he talked about how much he loves this upcoming recruiting class. And I loved hearing that because, it really gave me hope for what the future is going to look like. And the one thing that he talked about was how last year, pretty much what it was keeping the old coaching staffs, keep Coach Fuente's players that he recruited and try to keep them together and to keep them committed to Virginia Tech. That doesn't necessarily mean that, with that he was, that those players fit his scheme, but with the, with this new upcoming class, all of those players are recruited to play his style of football. And I'm really excited to see what that's going to look like. I have a lot of hope for what this team could be like in the future. They just need to keep improving. They need to keep practicing. They need to keep working harder. And I think that we need to get a lot of those freshmen in and start getting them reps and making sure that, if this year, if we're going to call it, a loss because we're not going to make a bowl game, then we need to make sure that every freshman, they're allowed to play 4 games before we burn their red shirt. So if we are not going to burn their red shirt, we need to make sure that they're playing in all 4 games, period, point blank. We need to get them those reps. We need to make sure that as a team, we are consistently improving. Because at the end of the day, if you want to say screw the record, which, at the end of the day, that's pretty much kind of the mentality that I've seen out of this coaching staff is, it doesn't matter what the record is at the end of the year. What matters is, are we improving? And I have seen where we could be because I've seen the improvements that this team is making. And after talking with Coach Pry, like it has really given me kind of renewed hope for what this team could look like in the future. And I hope that come next season, we start to see maybe, I'm not going to sit here and say we're going to win 1,000,000 games, but, maybe if at the end of the year we win, 3 at worst 3 games, we win maybe, 4 or 5 games, hopefully, but, absolute worst case, maybe next year we win 6, 7, 8 games, and then we just keep improving. And then hopefully, we might be able to take down some major teams and maybe win the conference, but it's going to be a minute. I didn't think even at the beginning of this year, I picked us to win 8 games because I didn't realize how much had left. Like there was a lot of players that left, and we just have such a lack of depth. It's ridiculous.
Facts. Absolutely. And it's sad that we're already looking to next year, but at least he's hype about that, and we'll see how this offseason recruiting goes. But now you just got to survive the best you can throughout the rest of this year. There's still high hopes to finish this out strong, but you're not starting it out that strong when you're starting out 2-5. Speaking of strong starts, we have a new show to introduce here on the LegacyMaker Sports Network, a new show that's based around all sports entertainment. Let's go ahead and give you guys a sneak peek of that.
LegacyMaker, the All Sports Network, presents a SIRTOBA media production where the struggle is real to be awesome.
Acknowledge me. You should know your role and shut your mouth!
That's right, you guys. Hop aboard the Kayfabe Express here on the LegacyMaker Sports Network, as we'll be giving you the latest in sports entertainment news coming soon, most likely in November. With that being said, we have this show to focus on, though. Let's go ahead and take this thing to the next segment. As we're at the middle of the show, let's go ahead and see what the fans got to say with the mayhem comment, with the media mayhem. Looks like our two clowns are back in the chat. We got Derek and Chad. Derek here with episode 54. Let's go. Chad then responds with TB12 is the reason it's two-hand touch. So basically reiterating what I was saying earlier. So thank you for, being a messenger boy there, Chad. Derek then says Derek Carr is trash. How do you feel about that one, Joey?
I don't entirely disagree. I think Derek Carr is a subpar quarterback, but I do think that he's still better than like half the league. There's a lot of really bad quarterbacks out in the NFL right now. I think if you play fantasy football, he doesn't make a bad backup at all.
No.
I won't entirely disagree, but I won't entirely agree either.
Yeah, definitely playing better than Baker Mayfield. I'll give you that, Carolina. So
yeah, way to pour salt in my wounds.
So for that, because we didn't play it earlier when we both disagreed on a topic, I'm gonna have to give this to you, Derek.
Hell to the no, to the no, 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 no. Hell no, no, to the no, no.
Oh, hell no, Derek. Hell no. So going from there, we got Derek saying, let's go Mets.
Oh man, they disappointed me hardcore, bro. I had a hard on for that pitching staff. It's what got me.
When you say let's go Mets, I say
what?
Samuel L. Jackson comes in and
Say
said,
what again? Say what again?
What?
Say what again? Say what again?
because the Mets aren't even here, Derek. So just let it go. You always got next year. Say it ain't so. The Mets are not here. So, and with that, other people got to say this too.
Would you please shut the hell up?
Because the Mets are not here. All right. Chad then says, are you serious, Derek?
I mean, yeah.
Derek says, absolutely.
Oh, man, these two every week.
Braves will be in last place next year. So this is why you deserve this stuff, Derek. This is why. This is why we're saying this about the Mets right now.
What's that? Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
Yeah, come on. Don't be spitting fire when the Braves got further than you did, even though they had the first round bye because they swept you to get to that point. Don't blame them. Don't hate the player, hate the game. So when it comes to that, Chad Powers says Virginia Tech has had a tough year defensively. It's like watching redheaded stepchilds play together incoherently.
I mean, I don't know that they've necessarily had a tough year defensively. I think they had a tough game against North Carolina. And overall, the defense has kind of been the bright spot of the Virginia Tech Hokies. Now, if you switch that to Virginia Tech has had a tough year offensively, then absolutely, I 100% agree with that statement. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that statement if you switch defensively to offensively.
Hey, at least their coaches are flipping out like this.
That's why we took the damn field. Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
At least he's not handling the media like that, okay?
That's true. Credit where credit's due. Brent Pry can actually handle the press pretty well so far by what we've seen.
Absolutely. Definitely, I got to agree with that as well. Derek then says, how are you going to give up already, though?
I mean, it's not that I've given up. I mean, it's just like at the end of the day, you just kind of got to reassess whether what's important. Is the record important or is improving, important? Like, where's the priority at? And I would rather improve and continue to improve than have a fantastic record at this point, because at the end of the day, the record isn't going to matter this year because no matter what, there was no way that we were going to win enough games to really get a bowl game after the first couple that we saw, the first couple losses that we saw. There's just too many holes in this team.
Yeah, Derek, we're not giving up already. We're just acknowledging what's fact when we're at this point in the season, okay? So, yes, he's definitely looking forward to his recruitment class. Not saying that he's given up 100% on the season. However, you also got to look at the bright spots ahead as well. So, when it comes to the comments of the fans, Derek then says, just practice harder. Well, you know what, Derek? When it comes to practice, there's one person who said practice and said it the best, and we got to go here.
But we talking about practice, man. What are we talking about? Practice? We're talking about practice, man. We're talking about practice. We're talking about practice. We ain't talking about the game. We're talking about practice, man. When you come in the arena and you see me play, don't you?
Absolutely.
You see me give everything I got, right?
Absolutely.
But we talking about practice right now.
Absolutely.
I've never seen that quote, or I've never seen that interaction. That's fantastic. That's hilarious.
Yeah, that's old school right there. So, Derek, don't come at old school with this nonsense about practicing harder. There's a lot more that goes into it, okay? And we follow that up with, get the fuck out of here with that, Derek. That's what Chad says. So we got hey, quotations. That's what he said. I'll say it once. I can say it once on TV. I can say it once on here. So with that, we've got the comments from the fans here at the midway point of the show with the medial mayhem. Guys, thank you for the fans' comments throughout this point of the show. We got to take this into the next round where we take things into the by the numbers segment for round 4 of the In or Out Sports Debate.
Round 4.
And And here with round 4 with the By the Numbers segment, Dante Hightower is the greatest athlete to ever wear the number 54 in all of sports history. How do you feel about this one, Joey? Are you in or are you out on this one?
As much as I love Dante Hightower, I am out. So I decided to go with Brian Urlacher. I mean, it's just really hard to pick against him. He was arguably the best defender of our lifetime. I mean, that man was amazing on a football field. 2000s all-decade team, 8-time Pro Bowler, Defensive Rookie of the Year, NFL Defensive Player of the Year, all 13 seasons with the Chicago Bears, 78 pass deflections, 41 and a half sacks. I mean, it's just really hard to pick against him. I was really torn with this one because there's a lot of really good athletes that wore the number 54. But yeah, I'm going to have to go with Brian Urlacher.
You know, before I give my take on this, because it was tough, I disagree on this one too. But I also disagree with Joey. But before that, let's go ahead and show a quick little highlight reel of Brian Urlacher for 2 minutes of his highlights.
Shotgun snap is back to Hasselbeck. Pressure intercepted by Brian Urlacher. 45 running left. Urlacher to the 30, to the 25, to the 20, to the 15, to the 10, to the 5. End zone. Touchdown. Touchdown Bears. Number 7 this season. Adding to their NFL record.
Out of the eye. Farm under center. Mike Flanagan extends the handoff. They get a woman. Green. Strips it free. It's loose. Picked up by Mike Brown. Running left. Blocked by Urlacher to the 30. 35 Brown. 40. No one out in front. Does he have enough gas in the tank? 40, 35, 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. Mike Brown has enough gas just to get there. 94 yards.
Maurice Smith, the running back, play action fake. Rolling to his left, pick under pressure from Philip Daniels. The ball is loose, picked up by Brian Urlacher running down the right sideline. The ball came out, and Brian Urlacher had nobody in front of him.
That was an abusive tackle on the part of Philip Daniels to bring down Michael Vick, but Brian Urlacher in the perfect position to grab that ball, and nobody was going to catch it.
Snap again, the hand up. Edgerrin James stuck up the middle by Alfonso Bruin. Ball's out, and it's picked up by the Bears. Running it, Tillman, 20, 15, 10, 5. Are you kidding me? Touchdown! Defensive touchdown, number 2. Peanut Tillman, 40 yards. And for Favre. Looks over the defense, blitzes on. He sets the throw, and it is picked up by Urlacher. Running right of the 40. There's nobody around him. Brian Urlacher coasting down the right sideline. 20, 10, a Sunday stroll to the end zone. Brian Urlacher, touchdown, touchdown Bears.
And when you look at that and you look at those stats, like Joey said, it is hard to go against him. I am out on this when it comes to Dante. Let's go ahead and get that over with. But I'm going to leave Joey up here while I defend this one because we disagree with each other. And I'm going to give my reason of why I disagree with him. Number 54, in my opinion, the best one that I got to go with is Goose Gossage, a man with a long, storied career as a pitcher. Pitched for 23 seasons from 1972 to 1994 when he retired as a member of the Seattle Mariners.
And had the coolest mustache in baseball.
Absolutely. Started out with the White Sox in 1972, was there for 5 years, and went to the Pittsburgh Pirates. Then went to the Yankees where he became a World Series champion, and that's why I have to give it to him over Brian Urlacher because Urlacher did carry the Bears to that Super Bowl where they lost to Peyton Manning and the Colts in 2006. However, got to give it to Gossage because even though he was on a Hall of Fame team with everybody else that was with him on the Yankees back in 1978, he was a huge part of that, and he also has 310 saves. He's in the 300 save category, as well as 100 and almost 125. He was at 124 victories, but had 1,500 strikeouts. So for a man to pitch for as long as he did, get to 1,500 strikeouts, over 300 saves, and to have a World Series victory, I have to give it to him as the best at number 54, and didn't really have much Goose Gossage highlights for me to really pick from on a short basis. So that's why I went with Urlacher. I had a feeling that Joey was going to go with Urlacher for the best number 54, because Hightower at 30 years old, in my opinion, hasn't played long enough. And even though he's had a great career with the Patriots, he was part of the system. Let's don't even get that twisted. It's not Dante Hightower. It's the reason that they got those last couple Super Bowls in New England. He was there for that. He was a part of it. He was a big part of the defense. But let's stick with the man at the center of our graphic on the screen right here. TB12, huge central part to those 6, especially the last 3 in New England. The kicker was a big part of the first 3, but he was a big part of the last 3 in New England.
Oh, absolutely. No, and I was really torn between giving it to Goose and giving it to Brian Urlacher. I at the end of the day, I don't know why I was leaning more towards Brian Urlacher. I guess mainly, I guess just because he played such a physical brand of football and he was just so entertaining to watch. I guess that kind of drew me towards him more than Goose. But also, what a great name!
Yeah. Shout out to Goose on my baseball team, my dog baseball team. We got a guy named Goose, but he's nowhere close to the category of this guy that we're talking about when it comes to Major League Baseball. So totally different category, still a great person, but at the same time, not what we're talking about here. But the greatest to wear number 54, in my opinion, is Goose. What do you think, fans? Go ahead and let us know in the comments. Do you think it's Dante Hightower as far as the statement? Do you think it's Brian Urlacher from what Joey says, or do you think it is the man with one of the coolest nicknames, and that is Goose Gossage? Let us know. With that being said, we've gone through 4 rounds so far here on the In or Out Sports Debate. We've got another one left to go to before the final round, and that is the bonus round. Let's go ahead and see what's in store for that.
Surprise, motherfucker.
And here with the bonus round, as far as the NLCS that we just recently found out about, the NLCS features 2 teams that should not have made it to this point in a game that's playing right now. Joey, how do you feel about this one? Are you in or are you out on this one?
I am in. At the end of the day, I don't want to discredit the 2 teams by any means. Both of these teams are great baseball teams. But at the end of the day, I mean, you think about the Phillies had to really fight to get here. They really played like, at the very end of the season, they just got really hot. And like you said earlier, they were only a game back from having to do a play-in with the Milwaukee Brewers. I mean, it's just one of those things where, like, the Phillies, they really just kind of happened to be here. And then the Padres, I mean, they were at the end of the day, like, I mean, we were talking at the very beginning of the season, we were talking Giants and Dodgers, and, like, for the Padres to do what they did, and then, they played really good baseball, and then at the trade deadline, they pick up Juan Soto, and they said, all right, we're going to push all of our poker chips into the middle of the table, and we're really going to try to do this. And then they lose Fernando Tatis. And, you said yourself that Fernando Tatis was going to cause the Padres issues in the playoffs. Clearly, I have the ability to now say I told you so, because they have now made it to the championship series. And, they definitely are a great team. They're playing really good baseball. And, at the end of the day, I know that you're upset that the Phillies knocked out the Braves, but at the end of the day, they're playing really good baseball. And then the Padres knocked out the Dodgers, who I don't think anybody thought was going to lose. I know so many people who picked the Dodgers to win the whole thing, and then they lose to the Padres. The Padres are really hot right now. The Phillies are really hot right now. And we get to see Manny Machado and Bryce Harper play on the same field. And and they are just two really great players who got drafted the same year, made their debuts the same year, and it's going to be a lot of fun to see what happens. Honestly, at the end of the day, I'm glad these two teams made it because this is going to make for a great championship series. It truly is going to be an entertaining day of baseball. I'm really excited to watch this series.
Absolutely. I agree with you on this too. I'm in on this as well. When you put it in perspective, like we were talking about earlier, the Phillies are lucky to be here, like being a game over the Brewers to get that third spot in the National League's wild card standings, to have two teams from the wild card, let alone the bottom two teams of the wild card standings, be at this point to face each other in the National League Championship Series, let alone any championship series, is remarkable. They're definitely going to be the underdog team. No matter which one of these two teams wins in this series, they're going to be the underdog team going into the World Series, no matter if it's against the Yankees or the Astros, the two big teams, because they're the two top teams of the American League that we've seen throughout the entire year. So it's not a surprise to see either one of these teams, even though the Yankees were carrying more of the performance of Aaron Judge this season. He made one of the major impacts to this team more than the Houston team was more team-oriented, even though, because a lot of the things that were going on, there's a lot of turmoil within the management, Aaron Boone in New York, and a lot of things going on there that it's very surprising to some to see the Yankees in this spot, but to others, it's not that big of a surprise at all. But to me, it's been a big load for Aaron Judge to have this entire year, to have that home run record, then to get to the playoffs and help carry your team to get to this point, even though when you put all that in perspective with the Yankees, that's something that we'll get to here in a minute. But when it comes to the National League, we got the Phillies that are at this point that we need to look into, and the Padres. And we've got these teams right here that on one specific play alone, I feel like this is one that set the Phillies over the Braves.
On a 2-2 pitch. He lifts one in the air. Deep right field. There it goes! Marsh comes through!
That 3-run home run in Game 4 was pretty much what sealed it and their fate to go to the National League Championship Series. And when you look at the Padres, they had to battle back against the Dodgers in this last game against them, too, that we'll have to showcase with this as well.
0-2. Bouncing ball right side, off the glove of Freeman, and a run will score. The first for the Padres since the 4th inning yesterday. It's 3-1. Freeman creeping all the way near the mound. Kim bounces it towards third. It's a fair ball! Grisham will score! On his way to third is Nola. Into second base, Kim. It's a one-run game in the 7th. Soto into right field. This will tie the game. Two in scoring position. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Quoted right to center field. Padres take the lead. Kim is in. Here comes Soto. Off the mound. 5-3 Padres.
Those are pretty much the defining moments that got us to this point, to have the Phillies and the Padres in the National League Championship Series. Now, I know I kind of spun off for a second, was talking a little bit of American League, but when you look at the big moments that got these two teams to this point, I felt like that sums it all up right there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say this much. I am really happy for those two cities. I mean, you think about sports fans that starve themselves for victory, it's those two cities. I mean, San Diego and Philadelphia, they want their teams to win. And at the end of the day, like, they are, like, I mean, you could tell that the fans had something to do with those teams coming back. Like, they essentially willed their team into winning. And I love watching, sports in general where the stadium atmosphere is electrifying. Having that extra, home field advantage where your fans are just going berserk, it really can intimidate a visitor. And I think that's what happened with the Braves, and I really know that that's what happened with the Dodgers, because you could see it. You could physically see how much that crowd and that noise was truly affecting, the will of those pitchers. I mean, they really were struggling towards the end of that, and you could just see how much the crowd was affecting them. And I'm really happy for San Diego and Philadelphia. I really believe that those cities deserve this, and it'll be fun to watch those two cities kind of go back and forth as this series goes along.
Absolutely. I mean, the Phillies have a young team. As much as I dislike Bryce Harper, he's still young. He's only 30 years old, so he's still going to be a cornerstone for this team for years to come, it looks like. And to get this team to this point, in a current update, the Phillies and the Padres in Game 1 are in the top of the 5th. The Phillies are up 1-0 here in the top of the 5th, with a little bit of a live update with that. So, when it comes to the National League Championship Series, we'll see how things pan out. We are going to have a wild card team in the World Series regardless when it comes to that factor. Now, with that being said, we've gone through the bonus round. We now have one final round left to go to. Let's go ahead and check that out.
Final round.
And here with the final round, the New York Yankees storybook season will come to an end against the Astros in the American League Championship Series. How do you feel about this one, Joey? Are you in or are you out on this one?
I am out. First of all, let's talk about the Houston Astros. At the end of the day, they have a lot of experience and a lot of really solid players on that team. You start out with the pitching staff. You have Justin Verlander and Lance McCullers. Those are two really good, solid veterans. And then you have some young studs in Christian Javier and Framber Valdez, and they have really kind of emerged as really solid young players that can go out and get you a win. And then you think about at the end of the day, you have Jose Altuve and a lot of really good players in their lineup. Now, with that being said, the New York Yankees at the end of the year have had a great season. It has been a storybook season, like you said, between Aaron Judge and all of the other things that have happened to the Yankees. Now, the one thing that might bite them is the scheduling, and the fact that at the end of the day, they have to finish this game and turn around and go play a game tomorrow. But I think that might actually give them an advantage, because you think about, I talked about the Braves and how the Braves kind of got off to a rocky start because they had such a long layover. And I think that is going to be the same issue with the Houston Astros. They had a long layover. And at the end of all of this, we're going to sit here and we're going to look, and it's literally going to boil down to who uses their bullpen less. And I think the Yankees have starters that can make it longer. Justin Verlander doesn't really go past 6 innings anymore because they cut him off because of his pitch count, and they might let him go a little further because it's the playoffs. Lance McCullers kind of the same way. They really only let him go 6-7 innings. And then, you take the two young guys, and they don't have enough experience, in my opinion, to really hone it in and to really pull it together in the playoffs. And we'll see. And at the end of the day, if I'm wrong, I'll be the first to admit it. I mean, I was the first to admit it when I was wrong about the Mets. But I think the Yankees, they have a lot of firepower in that lineup. And I think that lineup is, especially now that you're talking about getting Andrew Benintendi back, Matt Carpenter came back. The Yankees are getting better in the playoffs. The players are coming back healthy. And I mean, they lose Aaron Hicks, but they gain, Benintendi back. The Yankees will be fine. And at the end of the day, I really do believe that the Yankees can come out and pull a win out. And yes, they're going to be the underdog, but I think that they love that mentality, and they'll be fine. I think the Yankees pull this out. It's going to take all of the games. Don't get me wrong here. It's not going to be like the Yankees are going to go in and sweep. It is going to take all of them. But at the end of the day, I think that the Yankees pull this out barely, very barely. But I do think that the Yankees can come out and take this championship series.
Finally, we have gotten to a point in the episode where I 100% disagree with you, because they barely got to this point, Joey. Come on, I'm in. The reason why I say that they are not going to make it, Houston is playing great team ball. You got turmoil within the front office and your manager staff with Aaron Boone, even though he was looking gracious at the end of the game and giving his high fives to the end to his team, and on paper, politically, was looking great to the camera on the way out of that closing victory. But you barely got out of that one. You did win 5-1, but the rain delay yesterday, I think, is what saved you. Had you played last night, I think we would be seeing the Guardians potentially in this game, and it would have been starting tomorrow anyway. But I think we're going to see, it doesn't matter with the woulda, coulda, shouldas, because we're at the point that we are now. The Yankees have made it this far, but they are going to be rushed to play in that series starting tomorrow. How many times do you see a series end and the very next day you're starting the next game? Very rarely. They're going to be gassed, and they're going to get smoked, I think. If they're going to win one game, it's going to be 5-game series, and they're going to lose 4-1 in the best of 7. Even though, with that being said, I want to show the highlights of what made this Game 5 go in the Yankees' direction.
A drive to right center field. Back near the wall and gone. So much power in that direction for Giancarlo Stanton. He had 31 during the season. This is his second of this series. And the Yankees jump on Savali in the first and take a 3-0 lead.
When you look at that and you think about that, and then when you think about them having the 3-run lead, and then all of a sudden that's in the first inning, and then the next inning Aaron Judge comes up.
High fly ball, right field and deep. Back near the wall is Gonzalez. It's gone.
If you didn't have those two big moments, Joey, it's a tie ball game. 1-1. They won 5-1. So when you think about those two big plays, your two biggest hitters, Giancarlo Stanton, finally it comes through with Aaron Judge to get you to this. This is what we've been talking about all season that they should get to. They're waking up at the right time, and they're together cohesively as a unit, because Aaron Judge carried this team throughout the emotional year of what it was to get to 62 home runs the right way. Then we get to the playoffs. He struggles. He was 0 for 7 starting up the series or whatnot, and was having all those strikeouts. Get to the point that we are now. If it wasn't for him turning his bat around, along with a few other things going their way, we wouldn't see them going to the next round. That's why I think, because of how close this series was, And if they do win, it's going to be the way that you predicted it. They're going to barely get in, barely get to the World Series. But I don't think that there's going to be a barely. I think they're going to get smacked in the mouth, because when you think about what happened between the Astros and the Mariners, to have the stamina of what you did to do this right here in 18 innings, I got to show you this.
3-2 pitch. In the air, deep left center field, hit well. Rodriguez on the run, and it is gone! Oh, Jeremy Pena sends one to the seats.
When you can do that in the 18th inning with your backup coming off the bench for Correa, and he comes in a second game that you're playing in a row in the 18th inning, because it's a 9-inning game, in the 18th inning, and you come in with your scrub and you win on a home run, I gotta give it to you. That's why he gets my vote.
But here's the thing, and here's kind of the biggest reason why I think that the Yankees are going to win it. Notice what the score was. The final score was 1-0 in an 18-inning baseball game.
They swept him, Joey. They swept him.
It doesn't matter. The offense that entire series for the Houston Astros was terrible. It was abysmal. And you're going to sit here and tell me that the Yankees can't outscore the Astros? Like, I'm telling you, it's going to happen. Like, I just believe that the Yankees lineup is going to be too much for the Houston Astros pitching staff. Like, the Houston Astros have a good pitching staff, but it's not a great pitching staff. And the Yankees, with Garrett Cole, Nasty Nestor Cortez, and a lot of the bullpen guys that they can mix and match, and the fact that they're getting a lot of their players back healthy, tells me that if they put it all together, which you could tell at the end of that series that they're starting to kind of rev it up. Aaron Judge is getting hot. Giancarlo Stanton's getting hot. I just think it's going to be too much for the Houston Astros. I have the Yankees winning this in all of the games. 7. Or is it 7? Is it 7 or 5?
Yeah, okay, if they go all game. Well, you better hope for some rain delays there, buddy. That's the only way that's going to happen, because you had 2 rain delays to get to this point, and you capitalized on both of them. So if you can get some rain delays in there, that'll help you out.
Houston has a dome, so, there won't be any rainouts in Houston. But
better hope for some hard rain in that dome piece, top lid. The top comes off. You better hope that there's a leak at the Astrodome. Well, not the Astrodome, but you know what I'm saying.
I mean, Minute Maid Park. I need to go there. It looks like a great park. That's one of my bucket list parks. I ain't even gonna lie.
Guys, that's definitely we've had some great rounds here on the In or Out Sports Debate. And before we acknowledge the last comments, we do have to acknowledge the Vault of Fame, and Joey's now here for a 5th time.
Acknowledge me.
That's right, you guys. We celebrate the Vault of Fame. Joey now being here for the 5th time. Joey Raymond is a 5-time Vault of Fame inductee. And with that being said, we got to look at the leaderboard real quick. Rob Johnson still at first with 11. Second place still now Joey with 5 times here with the In or Out Sports Debate. And a 4-way tie for 3rd place. I even made a little graphic here. A little graph here to show Joey's progression. Look at Joey's progression. He says he's coming for Rob. So I'm making this little graphic to show Joey's progress from 3 to 4 and now 5 in the past 2 episodes, from 3 to 4 to 5. Joey is now here with 5 times. We got to look at up next on the In or Out Sports Debate. Again, as announced earlier, episode 55 next Tuesday, the 25th at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern. And if you want to check that out, always on Tuesdays, the In or Out Sports Debate is here on the LegacyMaker Sports Network, on the handles listed here on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and coming soon to TikTok. You can check out all the articles and live updates here on the LegacyMakerSports.com. You can also check out the In or Out Sports Debate on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Twitch, as well as the audio platforms on Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Prime, Anchor.fm, and you can download the episodes individually on iTunes. Guys, we're here with episode 54. And again, if you want to throw a little tippy action at the Cash App, $DWillie87 here with the D. Willie Bucks, as what Jarrell Owens says. But again, we are here with episode 54. We only have a few more things left to cover. And with that, let's go ahead and take it into the mayhem culmination. And here with the mayhem culmination, we got to look at the comments from the fans on the way out. We got a decent amount from our two knuckleheads that we have up here. And that is with Derek and Chad. So with that, let's go ahead and start it out with Derek says that Urlacher was a beast. So he agrees with you there, Joey. He says Urlacher was a beast. And he was a beast. You know, he wasn't quite like Bobby Boucher, but there were certain moments that when you watched him hit, he kind of did feel like this.
Looks like Boucher knocked him out cold.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he wasn't quite like that with the drop kick to the chest, but he definitely made an impact. That he probably felt similar to how people felt when Bobby Boucher fictionally tackled you. So next we have Chad Powers saying Randy White was the man in Dallas. Wouldn't say as far as the best to wear 54. So if you were picking him, I guess Vince McMahon would come at you with this.
Yeah!
Because he's definitely not better than Urlacher or the Goose Man, Goose Gossage. So with that, we disagree with you there, Chad. Derek says he was okay. Chad says, how do you know, Derek? Derek says Padres win it all without Tatis this year.
That's a stretch.
That is very much a stretch. I definitely disagree. I disagree 100% wholeheartedly on that.
I would love to see him be right, though. I would absolutely love to see him be right.
Snowman is a homer for the Astros and says the Astros in 5 in the ALCS.
Agreeing with what you said.
Okay. Yeah, definitely not. So the Yankees will win like Maris did his home run record year.
I mean, talk about a way to finish the storybook, though. That would be neat.
Yeah, that would be. I think that everybody in the streets would be joyous and be doing this all together. Chad also follows that up by disagreeing with what Chad said about the Padres by saying, no, Derek. Derek says, what? Come on, Joey. I guess because your take on the Yankees, he did not agree with what you had to say, nor does he agree with what Chad has to say, and I don't either. So I guess I agree with you on this one, Joey. So we agree on something together. Yankees don't stand a chance. I wouldn't say don't stand a chance. It's a bit of a stretch, but I don't think they're going to win. I think the Astros do win, and it's going to take 6 games, hopefully 7, because I hope that they're still playing in the World Series when Joey and I get back here in 2 weeks. Mets would have beat either of the ALCS teams. Now, come on, Derek. You're back on this Mets talk again? Come on.
Would you please shut the hell up?
The Mets are out of it, man, and they're not coming back. So, I mean, they're not coming back this year at least. So give them a break. They're not coming back. I mean, even Charles Barkley is just upset with you harping on this right now.
That's terrible.
Like, come on, man. Come on.
I would have loved to see the Mets make it this far because then I would have been right, and I love being right, but I'm not right. So, like, very, very obviously, yeah, the Mets. Yeah, you're right, Chad Powers.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Chad Powers. And that's our final comment of the evening with Chad Powers laughing at Derek about the Mets. So with that, guys, we've gone through all the comments. We've gone through all the rounds. We only have one thing left to do, and that is take this into the final word. And Joe, you know the drill when it comes to the final word out of everything we've talked about in this episode or just anything in sports or entertainment in general. What's on your mind? Let's go ahead and get it off your chest. What you got on your mind?
Honestly, like I'm just really excited to see what pans out with baseball this year. I'm really looking forward to the fact that we're going to have a wild card team in the playoff. Especially the first year of this format, I think that was very deserving of what when you put this format in, this is the outcome that you wanted. You don't put this outcome in there if you don't want to have a wild card team make a run at the very end of it and make it to the World Series. That's ideally what you want to happen. It was sad seeing, as you like to call him, Winnie the Pooh. It was sad seeing Albert, get knocked out in that first round. I would have loved to see him make it a little bit further. But at the end of the day, I'm still really looking forward to it. I really did enjoy watching him this year. It was a lot of fun. Even as a Cubs fan, just to kind of watch his swan song as he left was really nice. Was really cool.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. I mean, a lot has changed since the last time we were on episode 53 to now in 2 weeks. And, we had Winnie the Pooh playing last time. The trajectory of the playoffs was different. Now we are at the point that we are now. And, maybe for the Padres and for the Yankees, you can say, and potentially the Astros, but the Phillies are the big, team that we didn't see at this point. And there are some. I got to give a shout out to Rob Johnson of the LegacyMaker Sports Network, who happened to say a while back during the summer that he said, don't be surprised the Phillies are at this point in the playoffs, in the championship series. So, and I was kind of joking around at that point, saying I didn't know if he knew what he saw, but he is definitely in tune with the game if he was picking it back then. And we are where we're at now. So he's one of the few that I can say to be scared of the Phillies at this point. And I got to say, he was right, because he knocked off the Mets, got the Braves out. Look at where we're at now. And you knock off two biggest teams who were a threat to you in the NL East, and now you are where you are. So we've seen big stuff. Winnie the Pooh getting knocked out. That story was big, so that was definitely big for you. But my biggest take was the NL East, because, I wasn't picking the Braves to win it all. I was picking them at least to get to the championship series and not having enough gas to have what it takes to get to the next round. I thought it'd be the Dodgers and Braves, and I was wrong, because without Tatis, I figured the Padres would struggle. They wouldn't be able to get over the hump to get to this point. Now we're seeing that trade for Soto and getting him and Josh Bell were huge for this team. They would not be in this point in the season had it not been for that trade. Then we would be saying that the situation with Tatis was probably affected this team, because I was thinking that it potentially could, but without that trade for Soto and Bell, we would not be talking about them here at this point as one of the two wildcard teams to make it this far in the playoffs.
No, not at all. And I mean, you sit here and you even think back to that highlight reel that you showed earlier in the episode. I mean, Juan Soto was one of the big, contributors to them coming back in that game. Juan Soto was a huge part of why they have continued to win in the playoffs. He's finally getting used to how to play in San Diego. I think one of the things that, for Juan Soto was the big problem when he first got over there was I think he was still trying to be the Juan Soto of the Nationals, where he had to be the guy. He doesn't have to be the guy in San Diego. I mean, he's got Manny Machado sitting right there, and Manny Machado is that guy. So he doesn't necessarily have to worry about being the end all be all of the Padres. And when Fernando Tatis comes back, now you have three guys that, are the guy. And so he's sharing that, and there's not as much pressure. And now he's playing loose, and he's playing, nice and free and easy like Juan Soto should be. Juan Soto needs to be, relaxed and doing the Soto shuffle when he gets into that batter's box, because that is when we see the best of Juan Soto.
So we know you're picking the Yankees. You think that it's going to be Yankees-Padres or Yankees-Phillies?
I'm gonna pick the Padres. I do think that the Padres, at the end of the day, they have more talent. And when you're talking two teams that are both smoking hot right now, I mean, like these teams are fresh out of the oven. They are burning hot. And I just think that at the end of the day, when you have two teams that are that hot going into this season or this series, I think it's just going to go down to who has more talent. And I just think that the Padres have more talent.
You know, we're at this point at the end of the show. I'm going to go ahead and say, since it'll be 2 weeks till you get back on, I'm going to say it's going to be the Astros and the Phillies. And I say this because I've been picking against the Phillies all year long, and they've upset what I picked as far as the Mets and the Braves to be further along in the playoffs than they were. So with that being said, because they've spoiled that and been the spoilers of the NL East, I'm going to pick them and the Astros because I feel like the Yankees will run out of gas, and so will the Padres, because even though they're making it look easy, I feel like the Padres are missing Tatis, and it's going to be exposed at some point in this playoffs. I don't know when or how, but I feel like, and I could be wrong with this, but I just feel like that's going to be exposed at some point. Well, even if they get to the next round, I feel like it's going to be exposed at some point.
It's still crazy to think about how the San Diego Padres next season are going to be dangerous.
When he comes back, I don't think he's eligible to come back at the start of the year.
No, he's got 60 games going into the next season, which means he'll get 100 games. He'll get 100 games to play, which is still, I mean, he's going to have 100 games to play next season at the tail end of the year. He'll have enough time to get hot, and then he'll be getting real hot just as the playoffs come by next season. If the Padres can continue the path that they have laid for themselves, Padres are going to be a dangerous team to look out for next year. I'm really excited to see a lot of teams, because like the Mariners, they, in my opinion, are only like one, maybe two pieces away from winning that game against the Astros. Like, you know, the Mariners are way closer than I think anybody thought that they were. The Cleveland Indians are way closer than anyone thought that they were. The Baltimore Orioles, I think, are way closer than everyone thinks that they are. They were only 5 games back out of getting into this year's playoffs. And the trades that they made this year added more young depth. I am so excited for next season because there is so many good young teams. And I think that there's going to be a lot of really competitive baseball next year. It's going to be a lot of fun.
We'll definitely see how it goes. I mean, another live update as well. The Phillies are up 2-0 in the bottom of the 6th. They could potentially take this game 1 of the NLCS and be on a pretty good hot start to what I'm picking them to go to the World Series at this point. So we'll see how that goes. It's definitely been an interesting ride here in the playoffs, and covering it with you has definitely been great there, my man, as we are wrapping up this show. Joey will be back in 2 weeks. We could potentially be either talking about towards the end of the World Series or the actual conclusion of it, and we'll see if we have a champion at that point. So for that, we only have one thing left to do, as we do at the end of every single episode, and that is look at one badass outro. For my guy to my side, Joey Raymond, I am Drew Willingham. Everybody stay safe out there in these streets.